and welcome to today's episode of Hacking with Friends.
My name is Cody Kinsey, and this is our pretend cybercrime victim for our upcoming webinar, Michael.
Hi.
So just so you know, if you want to see us being put under immense amounts of stress, right after our live session on Friday, we're going to be doing another webinar. So if you want to check it out, it is on the Varonis homepage. It is going to be bringing back Cat Fancy with DNS spoofing. So check it out if you're interested. And Michael will be playing our cybercrime victim.
Yes.
How sad.
I will be pestered with fancy cats.
Yes, that's what we're going to do.
It's so horrible.
But that's not what we're going to do today. Today, we are going to do an investigation. And who are we going to investigate, Michael?
Some front, news front.
Nazis. We're
Yes.
investigating Nazis. So we're going to do a Bitcoin investigation today. And what that means is we're going to be taking a look at cryptocurrency transactions related to an organization that might be suspicious or sketchy or gross or weird, or all of these things combined in the case of the Daily Stormer. Now, there were a couple news articles about how the founder of the Daily Stormer received a lot of money from suspicious, weird donors over Bitcoin. So today, we're going to be using Maltego and their Bitcoin transforms to be able to visualize this data and take a look at exactly how much money we're talking about and where it came from, as well as where it is going. So Michael, do you know anything about Bitcoin?
It's something to do with blockchain, and apparently it's going to be worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars per coin some point in the future, according to some people.
Because I remember you telling me that blockchain was going to revolutionize all sorts of things like real estate and everything else in a parking lot, like not even 3 weeks ago. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about what Bitcoin is, since obviously you're being a little bit modest about your knowledge about the subject.
Okay, so it's the first, or if not the first, at least the most popular cryptocurrency that was started. I forget the pseudonym for the guy. Satoshi or something. Yeah, I don't remember the exact pseudonym of the guy that created it, but no one knows if he exists or not. Anyway, blockchain is just a way of keeping track of these transactions in a cryptographically secure manner. And the blockchain and the distributed ledger basically means that everyone has a ledger with all the transactions that have happened on the Bitcoin network. And that's how these transactions are verified and Bitcoin are mined, is doing the hashes to verify those transactions. But that also means that if you have a wallet address, you can see all the transactions that have ever happened with that address simply by doing a simple search of that ledger, because none of it's really encrypted as to the exchange or anything. You can see exactly how many Bitcoin, when it happened, and who it came from and who it went to. So that can be very powerful. There are other cryptocurrencies that have evolved since Bitcoin. These are generally referred to as privacy coins, which are, as their name would imply, all about having the benefits of a cryptocurrency without that public ledger that everyone can see. So oftentimes these will implement some element of like, the transaction can be seen by the people involved in it and anyone they designate, but anyone else can't see it. Or if they can, what they can see is just the bare minimum necessary to like verify the transaction or something like that.
Right. So an example of that would be one of the most famous examples. Say it at the same time. Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Oh, I was going to say Monero.
Yeah. I don't know any other coins. That's
okay. Monero is like the one I know that's pretty popular as far as like privacy coins.
I see. Yeah. And that's why these sorts of coins are increasingly becoming more popular ways for sketchy organizations to transact money, because the dumb ones just use Bitcoin, and while it's very easy for their donors to get a hold of it, it also leaves a trace, and it's very easy for anyone to see. So you get that kind of like trade-off of, all right, we're now moving to a better security platform. However, most of our people cannot figure out how to give us money anymore.
The really ironic, funny thing to me is that as Bitcoin was first coming out, it was widely used in some of these like sketchier areas, and the people using it didn't really understand what it was, so they thought that they were really being sneaky and private by using Bitcoin. But then, like, as the years wore on, the federal agents could just come in and seize assets and really track down these transactions because of the public ledger. I think it was a Secret Service agent, maybe an FBI agent or someone like that, that basically like embezzled money from these criminal organizations.
Silk Road.
Yeah, and then he tried to go through like 3 or 4 wallets, but still he got caught because of that.
Because they have the time
Yeah.
to find out where this money goes. Like, whoops, some of this money from the investigation just moved, even though we arrested all the criminals. Like, that seems like maybe something we might spend some man hours trying to figure out.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah. And you can, because there's ways of figuring it out. So, right. So you mentioned anybody can see these transactions. Where, pray tell, would you go to see these transactions if you wanted to do that, not knowing what we're going to go over today?
I don't know the website names off the top of my mind, but I would just Google like Bitcoin transactions or something along those lines. And there's like a number of websites that you can find that will just straight up allow you to search. Usually you need a wallet address, but it's pretty easy. Like, you know, if you wanted to play around with something like this, there's a million Bitcoin related YouTube channels, you know, and they all have their wallet address for donations. So just grab one of those. It's a really easy way. And then you can see, oh, hey, who all's donating to this YouTuber, right? Like that's a fun little investigation you can just do straight from the browser.
Yeah, so there's, as Michael pointed out, there's a million different websites you can go to that will allow you to just put in a Bitcoin address or a Bitcoin transaction and then see what happened. They can see kind of the chain of events, and there's all different kinds of takes on how to visualize this. No website has really like found a corner on visualizing things the right way. Everything kind of displays these transactions and this information differently, and it can be helpful or not helpful. It really kind of depends on which website you land on. Do you have a suggestion?
You keep going for a second. I was going to pull
Sure.
up all.
So my preferred way of taking a look at this is as visual as possible, and I really like Maltego. I teach it regularly to journalists and other people who are doing investigations. So when I'm visualizing this information, I like to put it into a Maltego graph and be able to see everything visually, like see links pointing to each other, see elements as like individual icons, and it helps me kind of understand just by looking at something what is going on. Now I find that to be kind of lacking on some of the websites where you just type in, you know, the Bitcoin address and it gives you just the transaction history. It's just a big long list, and like if there was a link to other addresses, it would be really hard to find. You would basically need to be hunting for it, and there's no tools, or at least there's not a ton of tools that I've seen on the top level of the search results you're going to get just looking for Bitcoin stuff that does as good of a job as Maltego does in this instance. So I really like Maltego's transforms for bringing in Bitcoin information and displaying it on a graph, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So for anybody who's completely new to Maltego, it is an open source intelligence tool that is extremely popular amongst all sorts of different people. And what it does is it takes a single clue, in this case a Bitcoin address, and it uses an application programming interface, an API, to go out to an external data point, bring in more information, and then represent it on a graph in a way that's really easy to understand. So that's what we're going to be using today to start with just either this transaction ID or this Bitcoin address, and end up with a graph that shows us where this money kind of came from and where it's going and how much is still inside the wallet.
Yeah, I have one website. It's got some
Wow, you get a lot of ads.
cryptocurrency ads.
It looks sketchy, but let's take a look at Michael's browser-based resource.
Oh wait, that's yours. Okay, yeah. So just ignore the crypto ads. But yeah, so this is just blockchain.com, and just simple Google search finds you the blockchain.com/explorer. I kind of just Googled a random address. But yeah, so you can usually go down here and you can see the transactions. So a lot of times you'll see fees, because these have to go through like an exchange, and the exchange usually charges some modest amount, or hopefully modest amount. But yeah, usually you can, like it, I mean, you can see like the transaction amount, like, you know, 0.001 Bitcoin and stuff like that. And you can click on the other addresses and just dig into it. But like you said, it's not pretty. It's not intuitive. Like, if This would be fine if I wanted to be like,
Switch to my screen while you're talking.
if I wanted to do something simple and be like, hey, is this wallet active? Perfectly fine. Like, just a quick question like that. For much more than that, though, I definitely wouldn't use this. Like,
Yeah, so for me, the 25 free spins really throws me off for one, because it makes
It's a
my
little
ADD
distracting.
crazy. So if I was a researcher and I was trying to figure out like what was going on with this, I'd be a little confused. So on my screen, you can see the expansion of our universe represented in Maltego.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Is that the Big Bang?
Yes. So actually, this is all the information related to our Bitcoin investigation.
Okay.
And right now, I'm changing views. So it's a floating around and adapting from one like hierarchy view to a different view that's going to hopefully show us some different patterns. But I just wanted to show the way that it lays out this data. Like if I want to...
Oh, that's a pretty pie graph sort of thing.
Yeah. Like there's different ways for me to lay this out. And if I zoom in, I can see this is kind of a bad idea because I have so many
Yeah, that's
results.
way too wide.
That, I might want to actually group them into collections, which I just did. And now I can see my results in a way that make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So Maltego makes it really flexible to adjust our results to kind of look for patterns and try to understand whether or not there's, for example, anything between these two data sets. I can very easily do that. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. The difference between like the free 25 spins way of doing this and the Maltego way of doing this.
Yeah.
So, Michael, was there another one you were looking at, or is that the same one?
It was the same one.
Okay, it doesn't have ads now. It looks nicer.
Oh, no, that was just the homepage.
Oh, okay, got it. All right,
And there's
cool.
an ad up there. They always
Can
get
you show
with
the other
that.
screen? Because I'm going to transition my screen anyway, and I need cover.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I'm
wait.
gonna...
There we go. Okay. Yeah,
just need to make
that's
sure I
just
have
the
the
home
right-
screen. Oh, hey, it is up to like 16K now, whatever. But yeah, you can usually, like here, you can just see like the latest transactions. $200,000 transaction right there.
Wow. All right, so speaking of large transactions, let's switch back to mine. I found it. There have been a lot of donations to right-wing organizations that are basically causing trouble and doing all sorts of bad, sketchy stuff by organizations that don't want to be linked back to them. So all of a sudden, like a bunch of money ends up in these groups' hands right when they're basically being frozen out of all their commercial deals, and it saves them and allows them to continue doing all this hateful stuff. So you can see there was actually an investigation by a security researcher who saw that the Daily Stormer had received a ton of money from a really large fund that was giving to these organizations, about $25 million in Bitcoin. So this was a pretty wild story, and it led me to take a look at other far-right organizations that are receiving funding via Bitcoin. And during a seminar that I've been doing for Norwegian journalists teaching how to use Maltego for investigations, I picked a Nordic neo-Nazi group to do this investigation on because, surprise, surprise, they're not very tech savvy and they didn't do a very good job covering their tracks. They do, however, put out a ton of content that actually drives in Bitcoin donations, and I was able to show how much and where they were getting it. Now, I didn't want to just steal the same content for a live stream, so in this case, I looked through some of these other organizations that were receiving money via Bitcoin. And one of the most auspicious ones, and by the way, if you want to see an amazing resource, Neo-Nazi BTC Tracker is a bot that basically follows neo-Nazi organizations, and every time they receive a Bitcoin transaction, it basically blasts a little OSINT, I would call it like a police blotter almost, tweet about it that tells you other things that Bitcoin wallet has been seen doing, and how much money was involved in the transaction. So if you're a journalist or somebody else who's covering far-right organizations, highly recommend you guys check this out. And this is built on, like Michael said, the blockchain technology.
Yeah.
The fact that this Twitter account can like check in and look at these particular transactions and then automatically tweet if one of these wallets is hit with a donation is a fact of Bitcoin. And that's what we're going to take advantage of in this investigation. So let's start out with one of the worst offenders. We're going to talk about, here they are, the Daily Stormer. Yeah. What a wonderful...
Can you zoom in a little?
Well, no, it's just like a picture in this story, but we're going to go to their actual website, which sucks. Huge surprise. So this organization, which is apparently tracking the decline of the white race, is super hateful and sucks in every possible way. And it looks like now that people have turned up the heat a bit on their organization, they are no longer accepting Bitcoin donations. That's not true. They are. They're just trying to hide their Bitcoin address. But guess what? The archive.org already knows everything that they've ever put on their website. So these big doofuses aren't really doing themselves much of a favor by trying to hide their stuff now.
Yeah.
So they also have their Monero address. As Michael pointed out, this is more difficult to get into, but it also is more secure. And as they note, they don't necessarily recommend it over Bitcoin because it's more difficult to use.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is privacy coins are generally less popular. They're more difficult to use. So that's why you're only going to really see them used by, I hesitate to say paranoid people, but people who are more discreet, as it were, are definitely the people that are going to tend to use that more often. Otherwise, Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency of choice. Unless you're like doing mining and stuff, and I don't want to get into that whole.
Yeah, so, all right, guys, we're stumped. They took down the Bitcoin address. How will we ever find out? Oh, we've been outwitted. Okay, so let me just right mouse click on this. And let's go to the Wayback Machine. So,
oh yeah, I forgot about your little plugin.
Yeah, so we can just go to the first version of this, the first time it was indexed, and
that might be too far back.
I guess we'll see, huh? And if it actually loads,
It is thinking about it.
then boom, their Bitcoin address. Smart move, guys. All right.
Oh, and they even made it all easy peasy for you to copy and paste.
Yeah, of course. So, wow, just like that, we have circumvented the big brains at this organization's attempt to hide their Bitcoin address.
Yeah, so some real elite ozons you got going
Yeah,
on
I'm
there.
sorry. If we're not, I feel a little uncomfortable having their website up on our screen when we're doing a live stream. So if anybody's just tuning in right now, we need to be clear about our position here. We're not allowed to curse on this show, but in general, Michael, how do we feel about Nazis? Nazis.
We
heck
literally
off
fought
is
a
what I would
war
say.
about this. It was called World War II.
Yeah.
I think that settled it.
Yeah, so heck these people and heck their entire organization. So we're going to go ahead and copy this very obvious Bitcoin address and then go back into Maltego, which is just called Java, according to my map.
Nice.
All right, so I'm going to go all the way from scratch just for anyone who, isn't in the middle of the investigation already.
And so Maltego is a paid product. Is this available in the community edition?
Yes, so I believe, I'm almost 100% sure, and Michael, you can verify right now because you have the community edition, that the blockchain.info transform is part of the community edition. It might restrict how many entities you get back, but if you're a journalist or if you're somebody else who's doing an investigation that's related to journalism, I know that just for the class that I've been working with, they've been very super willing to give out licenses to try out the product, see if it's worth it, and it's a really cool way of poking around with more results. So
I can confirm it is a free
Oh, Michael, can you
transform.
switch to your screen? All right, so Michael has the community edition because I'm a teacher of Maltego. I have the fancy version.
Yeah.
But Michael is now installing, click.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Michael's now installing this transform. So if you want to try out Maltego, you can go to maltego.com, download the community edition, and then you can just, as soon as it opens, install this transform, which will allow you to follow along. Although, as I mentioned, if you have the community edition, the free edition, it might restrict the amount of transform or the amount of results that come back.
It'll probably limit the queries, and it'll probably limit the maximum amount of results you get back, or something like that.
Yeah. So, but as I said, if you're doing anything related to like investigations for journalism or anything like that, like especially for people in the press, like Maltego is very, very cool about this sort of thing.
Ooh, I had some sort of error.
Oh, fun. No transforms could be found. Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it later, but switch back to mine because it actually works. So I have installed the blockchain.info transform by Paterva, which is the company that used to own Maltego, but now Maltego owns Maltego. Yeah, it's great. So we're going to go ahead and open a new investigation pane. And, oh, you can see I already was searching for Bitcoin, but we're going to look at all these entities. They're so serious. A goo user. Like, really? Like, okay. VK group. A boat. Weapons. Oh, wait.
What?
Ammunition. Bioweapons. A blade. A gun. A missile or an RPG. What transforms even work on an RPG? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, okay, all right. I just have to. I've always been curious, you guys. Sorry, I don't mean to waste your time.
It's important to mention here that Maltego can be used for a wide variety of types of investigations.
Like a nuclear weapon. What transform works on this? Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. Some of these
sure?
I've never used, and I've always wanted to be part of an important investigation, but maybe not that important.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, like we also have like COVID-19. So there's all sorts of updated transforms here that are topical for whatever it is you want to do. But today, I'm so embarrassed to show you guys my recently used. So I'm going to use a Bitcoin address. You can see I have also done a desktop computer and a smartphone.
Okay.
So this automatically generates some random Bitcoin address. I don't know who this is, but you know, whatever. We're gonna go over this. So let's double click on this. I'm going to go to the properties, and you can see there's nothing. So I'm going to paste. Hopefully, I haven't copied anything else without thinking. Yep. Okay, I haven't. Good.
Cool.
So I'm going to get rid of the white spaces. Press OK, and we have the beginning of our investigation.
Yeah, I was able to get Bitcoin Transform installed as well.
Okay, cool.
It just-
Then open a new investigation.
Yeah.
And you can use the default one, I guess. Or if you want to look up the Daily Stormer's dumb, Bitcoin address, you can do that too.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
back to your sorry.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least you can confirm it is possible to install. We're not just glossing over it. You can really do it. Michael did not swap this out for a different computer.
Yeah, literally all I
promise.
did is I cleared it out and opened it up again and clicked install again.
Nice.
You know,
Yes.
pro tip, turn it off and on
turn it back
again.
on. All right, so if I right mouse click on this, what's the most interesting thing do you think we could get in a single transform from this? Like,
all of the wallets that Bitcoin Wallet has transacted with.
I'm going to go way shorter on this and just say the stats. So how much money is in the
Okay.
Bitcoin wallet,
That-
how many transactions have happened, and how many transactions, basically how many in, how many out, and what's the total.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the blockchain.info transforms. And the first one here is to details. So let's run that. All right, so now it looks like nothing's changed, but over here, something has changed. So we can see the hash, we can see the address, we can see the number of transactions, we can see the total number of Bitcoins received, the total number of Bitcoins sent, and the final balance.
Oh wow.
Yeah, wow. So let me double click on this again. And if I go to properties, notes, attachments, summary, no? Okay, I guess it just exists over here then. All right, well, fine. So if we click on view, then this opens up in a browser and shows the blockchain explorer.
Oh yeah, that was the website I was just on.
Yeah, I don't have as many ads. Oh no, because it's blocking everything.
Yeah, you have ad blocker.
That's
on there.
great. Okay, so it links us to this list of transactions. And you can see there are quite some of them. But if we were trying to keep track of these, there's 10 plus pages. Like by the time we get all the way over here, like as somebody with ADD, like my eyes are bleeding. Like I don't know what any of this means anymore. Like it's just, it's just a lot. So, all right, if we go back and go back again, we can see that this information is useful. There have been 1,543 transactions.
Oh wow.
That's more than I would allow. So
That's a fair amount of Bitcoin. Total received 12 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What's that at 16,000 per Bitcoin?
yeah, take a look. So the total received is 12,000. 12
12 Bitcoin.
12 Bitcoins.
I was like,
It looked like
12,000 Bitcoin
It
would
looked
be
like
a
a
lot.
Yeah, that would not be
Okay,
good.
that's like 200,000. Like,
Yep.
that's
And
not...
then the total sent is 11.8 Bitcoin. How many is that? 11.8?
That's going to be a similar number. It's
Yeah.
going to be like difference of 16,000 or so.
Okay. All right. So
At current rates. Obviously, that would be far less back in the day, so on and so forth.
yeah. All right. So how would we go about then visualizing this massive amount of data? Well, I wonder if my other graph is settled. No, it's still in flux. Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally made the mistake of running all the transforms.
Oh,
Or all the Bitcoin
we're going to do that
transforms.
later. Yeah, we're going step by step. All right, so now we have the stats about this. We know more information about it, and we're able to learn a little bit more about what's up with this wallet. So let's go ahead, right mouse click, blockchain.info, And let's see if we want to take a look at, let's do inbound transactions. Who is actually donating to this organization? So which transactions put money in this organization's wallet?
Yeah, and that's the important bit to remember with Bitcoin is inevitably you have to put money into Bitcoin somehow, unless you're mining it. So that's usually when the layer of anonymity is broken, right? So usually you have to go through an exchange or something, and that's where you would be able, if you did enough digging, to figure out who these wallets belong to and individually associate those wallets with people. So you could say, okay, these people donated to this organization.
All right, we have 1.5K results. So that's a lot of transactions. And of course, some of these are going to be very, very small amounts.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and then break these out. And this is going to be a lot. We're going to take all of these entities and we're going to get the source address. We know the destination address. It went here. So let's find the source address. And this is going to return probably a lot. And by the way, this is a new investigation.
So it's 1.5K?
Yeah. This is a new investigation. I haven't done it before, and it is big. So, like, we might be stretching Maltego to the limit of what it can really show us in some of these cases, which is going to be
So,
fun.
on average, they donated 0.008 Bitcoin.
Which is how many dollars?
Yeah, that's what I was about to do.
Money.
Non-fake money. Yeah, $128 on
That's
average.
still a sizable. I mean, if that was
That's like a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
That's what I
guessing
don't like about this is like figuring out how much money is actually donated to extremists.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these people feel very safe, like putting money into these organizations using cryptocurrency, even though we can trace them quite easily.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'd like to see how that breaks up. And can Maltego show us that? Like, are there, a handful of people donating multiple Bitcoin, and then a lot of people just donating like, $10, $20 worth of Bitcoin?
That's what we're going to find out. So, for example, let's see. We can see that in this case, we have like a bunch of different Bitcoin addresses all donating in the same transaction, which then goes into the Daily Stormers account.
Huh.
And this pattern happens a couple different times.
Yeah.
So like as somebody who's investigating this, you can start to look at the patterns of like not only might be there some accounts that are linked to several different transactions, so that person has donated many times. There might also be instances where there's a bunch of money that's donated in small pieces from a bunch of different Bitcoin accounts, perhaps from a Bitcoin tumbler or something else that's trying to hide where the transaction came from. So you might find that like a small amount of money is just sliced up a bunch of times and then donated from an intermediary account where you can go back a step and then learn more.
And we haven't really talked about that yet, but that is one of the ways to attempt to anonymize yourself with Bitcoin is, what was the word, Tumblr? Or
A tumbler.
pools?
Yep.
Yeah, and so essentially it's like a washing machine for your Bitcoin. If enough people put in enough Bitcoin, then you can randomize it, redistributing it where it's harder to track, but there are papers out there and statistical models and stuff that really crack some of that. Like, maybe crack's not the right word, but they're able to, for example, show you how dirty each Bitcoin is based on if it's been through tumblers and stuff like that. So it's not a foolproof method.
Hey, sorry everyone, my graph has become like a model of the coronavirus.
I was going to say that's just an ocean of wallets.
Yeah, so this is still... Wait, is it still pulling in data? No, it's finally done. So this is sorting out relationships and basically trying to show interesting events by, for example, pointing out like, hey, this group of Bitcoin addresses all donated in this transaction. Total inputs, total output, time, number of outputs 1, number of inputs 8. So like really interesting information, and we can tell, let's say that we are looking for other transactions where there's a large group of addresses that are all donating to one transaction. Well, it's pretty obvious if you look here, this one.
Yeah.
So imagine how long that would take you to do if you were on a browser
Like
digging around like with a
Yeah.
whiteboard and like looking crazy. Like you can just click on this and see, okay, wow, we have This is total input 142.
Wow.
Total fees 32, like 0.00032.
142 what? Bitcoin?
Let's take a look.
Because I thought it, yeah, 142 Bitcoin is a lot of money.
That's a lot of. How much is it, Mr. Math?
Because I thought before.
Hey, Michael, it's almost like you need a calculator. I could probably help you out with that.
You go away. You go away with your calculators, boy. Okay. I thought though it said earlier that it was only 12 Bitcoin transactions.
Well, we can take a look. That's because there were 23 inputs and 24 outputs. And this is probably one of the things that article is talking about. So is that about how much?
That's 2.2 million in current market rate Bitcoin.
142 Bitcoin is how much?
Bitcoin is $16,000. It's almost $17,000.
You just type in. You can just. Why am I not Googling this? You can just type in 142.5 Bitcoin to US dollars, and it'll just tell you.
Yeah.
There's no need to.
Well, I did the math. What was it? It was 142?
142.5.
Oh, yeah. It gave me the same price. 2.37
million?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of money. But there's
That's
also
a lot of money.
Yeah, that's also a lot of inputs. So if you look at the amount of wallets that are involved here, there are a lot of them. And like the amount that's coming in is not that much on average. It's like 1.9, 0.9, now we have 3. 0.0014. So this to me seems like a Tumblr or some other sort of anonymity device that's trying to pull a bunch of money and then be able to do something with it. But
honestly, that makes some degree of sense. If you're going to be donating $2 million to this sort of organization, you might not want to be
as you pointed
clearly
out,
associated with.
So it might appear that these numbers don't add up, but if we were to put this to destination address, I think we would find that there were 42 inputs and 42 outputs, one of which led directly to this neo-Nazi organization.
Oh, okay. So a bunch of different wallets donated to that one wallet, and then the one wallet donated. Just curious, could you take that Bitcoin address and just Google it and see what comes up? Is that like an investigation method?
Yeah. So
valid?
always but if we just want to, the way that we do that in Maltego is we open this up and then we use a phrase.
Okay, yeah, because
a phrase is a generic search term that we can use to run through all sorts of stuff. So we can do this as a phrase, and then we can go back and run standard transforms, fire all the weapons, boom.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is this like another website, just like another Nazi group or something that is donating to this website, or hey?
Yeah, just drop like a blockchain.info. That's just going to tell us more about the transaction.
Yeah, that's not what I was looking for.
I
was wondering if there's like a web page where they drop this.
Well, okay, so this is so I have to be clear also. We just copied this entity is a transaction.
Okay.
So it's not a wallet.
Oh, gotcha.
So, for example, if we wanted to look through these and find you can even see the amount of Bitcoin here. If we wanted to find a truly monstrous donor, and then figure out what was going on with that, then we could probably take that huge donor and figure out what was
go down. Oh, 15 Bitcoin.
But that's in the grand scheme of this, that's still not that much. But yeah, okay, we can take the cryptocurrency address.
I mean, I don't know about you. I wouldn't mind that kind of money.
Well, of course, but you're a pretty low level criminal if that's all the Bitcoin you have.
Yeah.
It's not even enough to pay a lawyer for all the stuff you did, probably. All right, so here we're gonna put this in, and we're gonna search it as a phrase. Standard transforms, fire all, run, and let's see if anybody has mentioned this. Hey, donate to me on my stream. This is my address.
No.
Nope. Looks like not. But I mean, it is a good way. Let's go ahead and do that with our primary one, huh? Let's see if that actually works with our source. So let's go back to the nexus of this giant model of whatever this is. You can see also the Bitcoins leaving. So this is the Bitcoins going out. This is the Bitcoins going leaving. In. Yeah, the migrations of the Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Such a
they
beautiful
got fed
event.
up and left. Just walked away.
Well, some of them walked over to the Daily Stormer. So if I go, I'm going to undo and get rid of those because they're cluttering up my graph and I don't care. But you can see already that...
How did you get rid of those?
Command Z. Okay. Just undo. If I go to the middle here, I'm going to double click. And I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to copy this. And let's run it as a phrase and see if we can find something. I'm going to undo this one as well. Paste. And then standard transforms. Run. Do.
Beep, boop, bop. It's thinking. Hey?
Hey.
Whoa.
Yep, there we
Whoa.
go. So we were able to find many of the different places that this Bitcoin address has been referenced.
That's
we can find the
interesting.
current domain that we were looking at. So,
But also a bunch of affiliated domains.
so we're going to double down on this and take a closer look at our good friends, and I mean that completely sarcastically, at the Daily Stormer. And we can see, oh, look at this, a tracking link. How useful.
Oh, we could see where else that tracking link is used.
Yeah, potentially. So
If they were lazy.
to other sites with the same code. Let's see if that works. Sometimes organizations will share infrastructure, and maybe there's some other website that they're operating that, doesn't acknowledge itself but is using the same code.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but these people have been kicked off the internet so many times, I wouldn't be surprised if people had mopped the floor of all of their affiliate sites too. And if not, then, maybe people could...
Yeah.
I'm not going to finish. This operation will cause the graph to exceed 10,000 entities.
What?
Please consider... I don't care. Just go. Just fire.
Did you say...
Oh, wait. No, I didn't. I have my investigation to, return, just infinite. No. I thought I said less than that. Fine, 256, whatever. Wow, I didn't think it would bring back that many results.
Yeah, it was...
Maybe it's just really generic code. I'm just going to run all transforms. A much better solution. It didn't do it. All right.
Sorry.
All right. No. I'm still going to do code. Boop. Now, there's a social links transform that does this. It does, last time it was sorry, too many entities. Your computer would overheat. Please pay us. But this time it's just sorry, there's nothing. Whatever. All right.
let's not get too distracted from
Keep your
Bitcoin.
secrets. Well, I'm just saying that this is how we do an investigation.
Right.
We're like, all right, we want this Bitcoin address. I'm like, all right, it appears here.
Yeah.
Can we go and look at previous versions of this dumb website? Of course we can. Let's look at previous versions. So we already showed the
You gotta
Wayback
track
Machine.
down all the threads.
Yeah. So, we already showed you the Wayback Machine. We can just run that on here. And this is going to show us all the different previous terrible iterations of this terrible website.
Yeah.
There we go. Look at that. Boom. There they are. So right now we return 256 results because that's the maximum number I said so that my computer doesn't overheat or whatever. But we can also go into collections, and right now we're simplifying the graph. In this one, boom. Explode. So now it's going to render all of these out, and basically instead of grouping them as collections, it's going to put them all over the graph.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change the view so it's less confusing. That's more awful. That's confusing. I'm sorry, Michael. Do you need to take a nap?
Yeah, your Bitcoin is not interesting enough.
I'm sorry, we're tracking neo-Nazis.
Yeah,
We need to take a nap during World War II?
We need to find them,
You're gonna
not
be
track
asleep,
them.
Are you going to be asleep on the boat? All right. Wow. So I'm going to go here, and we can see that we have our little circle of hate around the Bitcoin address, but then we have all these different things that we've recovered from the main website. So I'm going to go change the view again, and we can see that this is, actually, I really like it when I zoom out. I don't have to see their...
So why is there the one big egg cluster and then that little side?
Because we did 2 polls. So
Okay.
each one is, you can see the source and the destination. So this is where we started. This was a result, and then we blew out the result to see more information. Yeah, so we can see here that we've recovered phrases. We've recovered image snapshots from the websites. We've so we can go and we can see individual images, for example, that were grabbed. So if we want to see where else this image exists on the internet, we can do that too. Let's say that this is a meme that's being shared by alt-right people because they suck. So let's right mouse click on it. And if we want to use another transform called TinEye, which is also free, we can do a reverse image search. And this should show us all the different places on the internet that has this alt-right meme. And that TinEye is also a little fuzzy, and it's meant to be. It'll find varied versions of it. But here, you can see all these different versions of Krusty the Clown that it's found. And again, I'm not saying that Krusty the Clown is associated with Nazis. If you were, I mean, the guy has a dark side.
He is very
so
crusty.
I don't know, but I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this is an image that was shared on that website, and I can search the whole internet looking around for other examples of the same thing. How are we doing on time, by the way?
We're 40 minutes in.
Okay, so let's go back to the. No, I really like this. Let me go back here and look at the other results we got. We can see we have other images, and then we have information about what the website was built with. We can have examples of links that were coming out of the website. All of this is useful for us to go and find other places that might be hosting the same content. So from starting from just a Bitcoin address, we're able to drill down and, oh, this is another fun one. So for this particular website, if we zoom out a little bit, just so we can make sense of this, let's see if there's, okay, so I don't see it. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to right mouse click, and let's try to find the IP address.
Yeah.
So we're going to go the IP address. Where it is. Did it work? I'm just going to run all of them if not. Oh, I also have Showdown. Oh no, if I run this, I'll have to change my key for the millionth time. Did it work? Is this it? So another thing you can do if you want to is you can go to investigate and select by type. So if you're not sure what results have been returned, you can see, do I see IP address in here? No, I don't. So we start, let's see, this is the IP address, so the Bitcoin address. So here, if I'm not getting good results on one entity, I can just turn it into another. So this is a website. I can turn it into a domain.
Because essentially those are interchangeable.
They pretty much are, but they're treated as different data types, which is super cool and interesting because Maltego then lets you get away with like different transforms depending on how you're doing that. And if it doesn't work, I just run different ones until like something makes it work. Although Maltego's being a little stubborn right now. With this MX.
And so are there any other transforms to show off as far as the Bitcoin?
Depends if this... Oh, with Bitcoin. So right now, Maltego doesn't let you do other cryptocurrencies, which is unfortunate. But they're working on it. So they already have some different entities that represent like, I think Ethereum. But you currently can't do anything with it that's useful, except for search by phrase. Did I get it? Oh, I got an IPv4 address. That's just buried in my graph. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, so this is all getting to be a bit much. So, there's a lot here. So if I select this, let's say that I want to destroy everything. I can...
how do you destroy stuff when it starts to get a little overwhelming?
So now I've added all the parents of that, and then I'm just going to delete the parents, but here I can press Shift, deselect this, and I can right mouse click and delete. And you can use that kind of workflow. Like if these ones, if I do add parents, oh wait, these ones are floating entities now. They're just like unattached. But I've already gotten rid of some of them. For this, I'm just going to copy this, honestly.
If it lets you.
Yeah, if it lets me. And then say we wanted to make a new graph and just drop in an IPv4 address. We're really going deep on this group, by the way. I can just paste this. And just to be clean about showing this, we can look for other domains via first looking for reverse DNS. So figuring out like which DNS address is this using, or are there any DNS addresses that resolve back to this. And I'm just going to run as many as I can. And we can see we got back to a domain. So,
which is the same domain we started with, right?
Yeah. So if I want to then just go ham on this and see what kind of information I can get, I can just run all the standard transforms.
That's the one that takes a long time, yeah?
No. The standard transforms generally don't. And I've got back a bunch of DNS addresses. Oh, wow. 8chan.new. Who would think that they would be connected? You take off the mask and you're shocked. So you
Yeah.
can see that there are some other websites I had no idea were associated, but clearly these all are kind of in the same vein. So it looks like they're sharing hosting.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to start identifying hosting services that were a safe harbor for these sorts of organizations, we started with a Bitcoin address. We've gone all the way to being able to take a web domain, transform it into a whole bunch of information about the IP address and other different services that might be sharing hosting or otherwise collaborating with resources. And this didn't really pull too much of a result for the tracking link, but I find tracking links are something that websites will often share amongst different arms of their organization and forget that it links them all together because most people don't know how to look for
SSL
that.
certificates as well, since you have to pay for those sometimes.
Oh, okay, go back to my screen. Okay, yeah. So another thing is SSL certificates. So if we want to take a look at any of these websites, like dailystormer.name, I guess, who cares? Then we can right mouse click on it. Oh no, I guess the .su one is the one that works. We can type SSL. It doesn't like it.
Get denied.
No, there's a set of transforms. SSL certificate transforms.
Yes.
I just typed it, but apparently it doesn't know what those are. So we can do toCertificate. And what this should do is drop a certificate that's another type of, oh, wow, it's Let's Encrypt. Blue teams call this Let's Get Caught. All right.
Why do they call it that?
Because as soon as the red team uses it, the blue team knows that someone is there. All right, so I'm going to just run all of them because I want to see all the different data types it returns. All right, so we got 2. I'm going to select both of them, and this is where we can basically reverse it. So we can say 2 domains that are using this certificate. Let's see if anybody...
I have a feeling
look,
that
it's pointing right back to dailystormer.su. Okay, well, that's a pretty obvious
an
thing.
obvious
Thanks,
one.
Maltego. So in this case, it looks like they're not sharing their certificate. They have a unique one, but it's also, just a Let's Encrypt, so it's not like it really went above and beyond here. But we can do the same thing with all these organizations. We can select all these and convert them to the same entity and run bigger searches. And that's why Maltego is cool, because if I just want to do the same thing, wow, there's so many things I can do. I can run that. I can get more certificates, or if they're pointing to the same one, at least I know. And then I can start to see, oh, I have all these other great entities I can run. And at a certain point, if it gets too complicated, I can just go up here and again, select by type, SSL certificate, and look at all these entities I can run all at the same time. Now I want to see more domains. Let's see if we can pull in any more. So I am running a whole bunch at the same time. And the hope here is that this ability to cram a bunch of data on our screen, but keep it pretty easy to understand, will allow us to make another discovery or find some other websites that we might have overlooked. And in this case, we found one. So, well, okay, actually that's just the DNS address of it. But it's still, oh, no, that's actually, so we can see that there's a direct link between 8chan.new and this Vanna whatever, which is located somewhere over here. Oh no, Vanna Pay. Never mind. So yeah, so we found a new one. So these two are sharing a certificate, which I think is pretty funny, and especially for them.
Yeah.
So this is how we can start to map hate organizations, far right organizations, or other people that generally suck that are soliciting money on the internet. We can find out where they're raising money. We can find out other organizations that they are technically dependent on. So let's say they get a big donation and they set up a whole bunch of websites, outlets to be able to spew their propaganda because they think, hey, they're not going to play whack-a-mole. We're just going to create 100 websites and they won't be able to find them all. Well,
and then bam,
tough
I found
luck.
all 100 of your
Yeah,
websites.
if you're sharing infrastructure,
Yeah.
it makes it very easy for us to find and shut that down. So I really like this organization because I really don't like Nazis, and I think that this is a fun way for anybody who wants to do their own research on these sorts of organizations, especially journalists or other people who are using OSINT investigation tools for good. This is a great way to be able to use those skills to see where is the money going and if there's any patterns that should be investigated further. Although there's a lot of data here, and keep in mind that a lot of this information is collected from third parties, so it's your responsibility to make sure that it is accurate. And please, QAnon people, stop using my tools to waste everyone's time. This is, yeah.
Oh my God.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, generally, this is a great way to get started with investigations. Please do not get sucked into conspiracy theories. There are some conspiracies out there, but please do not use this to dig yourself into a hole. That is the only thing I can say.
And hopefully Maltego starts supporting other cryptocurrencies in the near future, like Ethereum, and I think Monero would be my favorite, but I don't know exactly what information you would be able to glean from that. I'm sure there's something,
right,
but not
and
much.
So I need to also reveal something else that I learned during this investigation, which is that there are ways of accepting Bitcoin that are more privacy focused. For example, if you have a something wallet. I'm already forgetting it. A Coinbase wallet. Never mind. A Coinbase wallet. It will generate a per transaction Bitcoin wallet for you. So like if you make 40 transactions, you might have 40 different Bitcoin wallets in those transactions, and it just kind of manages that all behind the scenes for you. And that's a privacy feature. So if you're, a smart organization that is sketchy and accepting money, like the sketchy QAnon guy that was running like Q.pub or drop or pub or whatever, that dude was an IT guy, so he knew how to hide the currency transactions he was getting, and he made it much harder for me to track him down, which is why we're not doing a demo on that idiot. Instead, we're following people that are much less skilled. So in the case of people just dropping their Bitcoin, wallet, it's very, very easy to, just see where the money's going. In the case of people who are smarter and are using a layer of obfuscation, some of these tactics might not hold up as well. So I just want to warn you guys, if you get really weird results like that, then that could be what you're looking at. And in fact, like maybe this is some privacy feature of some like wallet site where it's just throwing 40 different random wallet addresses into one transaction to hide the person who's really behind it. That could be a feature of some Bitcoin like trading website. I don't know. But when you see stuff like that, just know that there are some weird stuff that happens in Bitcoin. You might want to research a little bit before you jump into conclusions, like 50 people all transforming into one human and then, or whatever, and then...
Right, it might just be that they're all using Coinbase
or they could be tumbling the Bitcoin, or they could be using a service that, otherwise hides it. It's really difficult to say, but at least you can see where the money's going and how much money is involved, and that's really important for these sorts of investigations.
And I was going to say, and that's where the investigation part comes into this, right? Like, we only did a very kind of high-level gloss over of this. Like, if you were actually doing a journalistic investigation, you could really dig into each of these wallets, see, like, the ones that are donating the most, and see, like, what else are they donating to? Is this, like, a slush fund for all of these Nazi groups or something like that?
Yeah, that's very good. So, all right. So, what do you think this Bitcoin address is right here, Michael?
Should I show your screen?
Yeah, what's this?
That is a Bitcoin address.
Yeah, that's the Bitcoin address you have to send money to if you want calculators to stop appearing on your computer.
What?
Yeah, this is the ransom.
Little do you know, I deleted calculator from my computer.
Is this why you keep doing it in the browser?
Yes.
If you guys don't
Chrome
know,
works just
I
as well.
constantly will set processes, backdoors, and other things to make calc.x pop up on Michael's new computer tower. So he's become very averse to using the onboard calculator.
Fun fact, you can uninstall calculator on Windows, but then the process still remains. And so whenever your program would trigger the calc.exe, it would pop up the Windows Store and prompt me to install it. And so there was a service that you could do to prevent a user from running calc.exe, except it doesn't stop a process from running calc.exe. So then I tried to go in and delete it, only to discover that basically in your root directory in your C folder, you can't delete Windows exes. And apparently calc.exe is a core functionality of Windows that it cannot live without.
It is.
So I had to figure out how to give myself root, like super user permission, and then I was able to delete it.
Yes, and I installed a Docker image that reinstalled it.
I'm watching you.
All right.
I don't trust you.
All right, so that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Hopefully you learned a bit about Bitcoin, how private and not private it is, and also how you can use Maltego to run an investigation, learn a lot of information, and visualize it in a way that makes sense, depending on what you want to learn.
Well,
Say also, if you want to check out some other great content that Varonis is producing, check out the new threat update that our sometimes co-host Killian is doing on the Varonis brand channel. It is a chance to take a look at all the different threats that companies that work with Varonis are facing and how they've reacted to them. So if you want to be updated on the latest threats, it is a great way to do so. And Michael, what's our new URL?
Hackingwithfriends.com?
Hackingwithfriends.com. Also known as Varonis.com/security_.
I think there's an info at the beginning of that. So info.varonis.com.
Hackingwithfriends.com. You can always sign up to get our email updates. We will let you know when we're going live, as well as we're doing any prize giveaways. And yeah, I believe that we're going to be giving away our first prize very soon.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed today's investigation, we do have an entire playlist on open source intelligence on our YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out. You'll see tons of our other content using awesome tools like Maltego and browser-based tools.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Bye.